Yo, 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 welcome again to another session with It Matters because everything we talk about matters wherever you are around the world, whether you're in Malaysia, whether you're in Thailand, whether you're in parts of Africa. And today is one of those days where we do our best to bring someone who can share some of the things that they are working on that I believe, honestly, needs to be heard of. Wherever you are, if you're a new listener, new viewer, welcome. This is just another session where we discuss all things that matter. So today, it's quite a special moment for me because I've known her since she was in high school, and I guess 6 years, 7 years onwards, she has become this unique icon on speaking on behalf of the voiceless. So I would like to introduce no other than Heidy Quah. Welcome to It Matters. How are you doing?
I am doing well. Thank you so much for having me on the program. Yeah,
No,
it's been a while. I mean, I first met you when I was fresh out of secondary school.
yeah.
And oh man, I think it's been about almost 10 years actually, maybe close like about 8 to 10 years,
Oh,
possibly.
wow.
Yeah, time flies.
I
Time
think the last
flies.
time you saw me, my hair was so thick. Now it's
Yeah.
getting more less and less, but it's all good, you know. I
Yeah.
can see there's change in your voice. You're much more, how would I say? Yes, your womanhood definitely kicked in, growing, going through all the punches, and
Yeah.
especially in the work that you do. For many viewers, I think many Malaysians who are in the space, they definitely know the work that you do, and I want to congratulate you on your accolades and also the latest that I just saw, which is a cover story on you from Tatler magazine. So congratulations on that.
Thank you so much, Zikri.
Likewise, likewise. Now on the show, we don't just randomly talk generically about the
Yeah.
things that you do, but my goal here is to help the listeners and viewers here to understand why do you do that you do and why does it really matter, right? So
Yeah.
perhaps you can speak a bit about this project that you started nearly 10 years ago called Refuge for the Refugees, and now it has
Yeah.
become this medium to facilitate and help our refugee communities in Malaysia. So how did that come about?
Yeah. So for me, I think it really started from a place of in secondary school, I was surrounded by incredible people, people who are public speakers and debaters and represented the school in one way or another. And every time after school, we'll gather, in a canteen and talk about just issues in our country, and we'll always just be angry about what the government is not doing enough, and what organizations are not doing enough. And suddenly it dawned on me one day, besides pointing fingers, what am I doing with my privilege, right? What are my friends doing with our privileges? I mean, we didn't go to any fancy secondary school. We're just in like a regular sekolah menengah kebangsaan. But still, it got me thinking that besides being angry, what can I do with this anger? And what am I doing to look into the issues in Malaysia? Right after secondary school, I stumbled upon a refugee school in the heart of KL that needed English teachers. And the plan really was to go in to teach, just for a couple of months before I started college. But in my time there, it made me realize that, such a complex issue like the issue of refugees, right? And, how they don't have access to basic human rights like quality education, job opportunities, healthcare. It goes way beyond just a 4-month project. We needed something long term to tackle it, and so we came up with Refuge for Refugees as a project. As we were running as a project, we realized that there was total awareness about the plight of refugees in Malaysia. People often, couldn't tell the difference between refugees and migrant workers, right? People didn't know that refugees exist in Malaysia to even begin with. And so we decided that, we need to do something even longer term, which is to run a nonprofit organization to try to meet the needs out there. And today, 10 years in, we're still doing that. We run 35 schools, 2 halfway homes, and a social business school under umbrella. And we do a whole bunch of things, besides running 35 schools. We do quite fair bit of case management work as well. We look into issues where when refugees want to fall victims to sexual violence, or become victims of human trafficking. Did you know that baby selling is one of the top 5 issues in Malaysia. Refugees and migrants often fall victims, to having their babies taken away from them against their will to be sold for a lot of money, right? And so I navigate cases like that, complex human trafficking issues. I consult with companies and corporates to look into their human trafficking policies as well. And on top of that, we at Refuge to Refugees recently, I recently ventured back into academics. So I think what I'm really passionate about is to see how we can bring together advocacy and academics, right? To make sure that, whatever that these kids are learning in their classrooms, the future of Malaysia, they learn it from people who have experience at the ground and not just, based off theories that they read on textbooks, because I think that's core and so important.
No, I hear you loud and clear. It's fantastic how many schools you're running compared to how I last time met you. And it's beautiful to see the amount of growth that I've seen in you, Heidi, and in your team. So hats off on that. And now I've talked to a lot of different refugee initiatives from different refugee NGOs, and a lot of them operate differently as well. But I'd like to talk more about your experience, because I've seen you've covered all the spectrum, and what actually intrigues me is you're pushing the buttons everywhere so that people can understand deeper on this issue, especially from top government level as well. Now, has there been any repercussions? Because I know we know some of those stories, but coming from yourself, and could you share a bit these repercussions that you had, whether were they positive or negative? Any life-threatening that might have happened to you as well? For
sure. I think in speaking up, it has always been really, really hard, right? Last year, I decided to try to shine a light on what happens in detention centers in Malaysia, given the fact that we work with just so many people, so many detainees, so many people who have, spent time in detention centers in Malaysia. I felt that it was important for us to shine light on what truly happens, and to talk about it. And with that, came given the situation as well. Last year, there were mass arrests happening. Detention centers were flooded, with new people each and every day, and this saw a spike in the virus as well. And it was really concerning. Even our health PG was saying, that we needed to stop arresting and detaining people, because that's not the right move at this point of time. So with that, I remember writing about it one night after receiving a 3 a.m. call from a woman who had been detained. She's now back in the Philippines, right? But her experience, kind of still sits with her until today, and she's still very much shaken up by her experience that sometimes she can't sleep at night. The PTSD is extremely real, and so she called me at 3 a.m. one night, and I was being really bothered by the call. I decided to write about it, to shine light about it. I woke up the next day to my post being shared over 4,000 times, if I'm not mistaken, just a few hours in, and obviously with more conversations coming up, that also warranted a police investigation. It was a really difficult time, but I think that today, a lot more people are speaking up about detention centers and what goes on behind the scenes, and that is key and important in bringing about that awareness.
So it's not,
over the years as well, we've done, the work is often dangerous, right? It involves us dealing with, syndicates. In working with victims of human trafficking, we often have to deal with syndicates as well. And these syndicates, as we know, they're vicious people, right? With plenty of connections, in trying to shine light as to what's happening and trying to shut down their operations. We've been stalked, we've been followed, we've been harassed, we've received death threats. In speaking about refugees, last year I received an insane amount of cyberbullying. My inbox was flooded with hundreds of messages a day, telling me, I remember one of the most triggering, comment that came in was a guy that posted on one of my updates saying that, Heidi, go hang yourself, right? And to him it might just be words, but to anyone that is struggling, it can very well be what pushes them off the ledge. And that's why I'm completely against cyberbullying. I think that we need to start by having healthy conversations and debates.
My God, that was
Yeah.
quite heart wrenching. Just hearing all the, I would say, the bravery that you and your team had to put through. I mean,
Yeah.
we think we were there at one point, try to sort some things out where we can,
Yeah.
and luckily we have a very strong community here that does support whenever people are in this shoe that you are in. Um, so the thing that I find it much more refreshing is your approach is very different than most refugee NGOs that we know. I mean,
Yeah.
you go directly to the source, to I mean, the root of the
Yeah.
cause, right? And I want to try and see if you can help us, especially the viewers, to
Yeah.
understand, even though it does not impact them directly, even though they hear this all the time from our news media, how should they take this issue about the refugees much more seriously? The fact that for them it doesn't concern them, and the fact
Yeah.
that how could this why does it matter at all for them, like
Yeah.
it's not direct, it's not impacting them in any
Yeah.
way, it doesn't affect them, but why should they care?
Yeah, I think that we need to care because it can just be one of us, that is in the same situation tomorrow, right? And I truly think that, I mean, the refugee community has contributed so much to nation building. We might not realize this, but they built our buildings, they clean our streets, they built our houses, they work in our factories, they produce our garments, they prepare our food. If they are so involved, in serving us daily, how can we not, stand up for them, and protect them, right? If I get to be real, a lot of times things are affordable here in Malaysia is because we have cheap labor in terms of refugees and migrants, and yeah, and so I feel that that's a very reason why we need to stand for them and we need to stand with them. I also think that while it doesn't affect us, while we might not be a refugee, I feel that it is important that you know when the community is cared for, I think, and in a positive way, there is so much more they can do, with their skills and their resources. And Malaysia can be a much richer country because of them, right? Not just in wealth, but just in what we can offer. In our values and our principles, there's so much to learn and to receive from the refugee community.
Absolutely, I mean, I totally agree with you with what you said. um, Now, for many who do want to get themselves involved or at least support wherever they can, where by sharing their resources, their funds, or their expertise, especially in the case of Refuge for the Refugees, where can people like us go and find out a bit more and
Yeah.
get on with work on helping you out? Where can we do that?
Yeah. So you can check us out on Facebook or Instagram at Refuge for the Refugees. At this point of time, every bit of support makes a huge difference. We are currently doing a food aid relief program that feeds about 500 families on a weekly basis, with grocery packs. We've worked with wholesalers and suppliers to put together a grocery pack worth 60 ringgit each. And this grocery pack can last a family for up to 2 weeks. So your money can go really far. We stretch every ringgit. So get in touch with us, and see how we can stand with the refugee community at such a time as this.
Okay, got it. I've managed to get the place where you all can go. All right, don't be
Yeah,
shy. I mean, go for it. And I said,
yeah,
I promise you this will be sweet and lovely with the
yeah,
conversation that we're having. I can't thank you much for Heidi for making time with
yeah.
us. And I can only wish you all the best with your future endeavors, and let us know how else we can help as an assignment for future
Yeah.
projects that are coming.
Yeah. Thank you for having me.
No. It's my absolute pleasure. Look at you. You're a woman now. Last time you were a kid. So mashallah. That's all I can say. I
Yeah,
love the growth. So we'll keep in touch for sure. Thank
yeah.
you,
I look
and
forward.
I'll see
Thank
you
you.
very soon.